Today on Starto,
Growing the sucker.
guerrilla marketing. Let's get loud.
Epic failure on social media. You're not you when you act like a douche.
The anti-Malcolm Gladwell.
All that and more.
This is Sandy Grayson,
And I'm Chris Franks. Welcome to Starto.
powered by Icosa.
Hi, and welcome to Starto, the show for the worldwide entrepreneur. My name is Chris Franks.
And I'm Sandy Grayson.
Sandy, how are you today?
Fabulous.
Show America your shoes you have on. I've noticed that they are incredibly
They are pretty
nice.
fabulous today.
They're a little frilly.
They are.
Tell the world why you're so dressed up and I'm not.
We are covering a special event tonight at the stadium, Mile High Stadium.
Right.
It's called Sea Level Event for Colorado Technology Association, where
Yeah.
they auction off a bunch of celebrity CEOs. You'll be able to watch our coverage of that coming up next week.
Right, and you remembered that and I didn't, so you look nice and I look like
I'm ready to
schlubby-
mingle with the celebrity CEOs.
A lot of celebrity CEOs out there. Well, Sandy, how are you? Is everything good?
I'm good.
Excellent. Well,
What are we going to talk about today?
We are talking about, every week we like to talk about a theme, and our themes kind of correspond to the way we believe you should build a startup company. And last week we talked about going to market and specifically about how you launch a product. And this week we're going to be talking about growing the sucker. So how do you rapidly grow your company? How do you take it to scale? But specifically in that theme, we're going to be talking about getting loud.
Let's get loud.
What does that mean?
Let's get loud. That's one of my favorite theme songs I used to use on my calls. Jennifer Lopez. Do you remember her performing that at the Super Bowl? Let's get loud.
I
with
remember
the go-go
the
boots.
song, but could you sing it for us?
I can't really sing that one. I only do
I was
that during
simply-
sound check.
I was simply trying to get you on video singing a J-Lo.
I only sing during sound check.
Right. So we've got a really good show, and we're about to dive back right in. But before we do, tell us what is new this week in the startup world.
Well, I got a couple cool stories for you this week. Have you heard of Mailbox app?
I have heard of those guys.
It's crazy.
unbelievable.
It's blowing up.
Yeah.
It is blowing up. They're a month old. Do you realize this? They are a month old. And since launching last month, the service capacity has grown 2,000 times. They're delivering more than 60 million emails a day. They said during the first week, they delivered 50 million emails, first week. And they said Twitter took 3 years to reach the number of daily messages that Mailbox reached in less than 4 weeks. So I got on the list.
Nice.
I'm number 465,448.
Well, congratulations for that.
What do you think about that?
So I think two things. I think the lesson from that is incredible, which is you as an engineering team that has a startup, you need to plan for scale.
Yeah.
Unlike anything that anybody's ever seen before in the history. It's faster than Twitter, it's faster than Facebook. You have to immediately be ready to go from 0 users to a bazillion users in the span of a month. And it really is remarkable. I applaud their engineering team.
But here's my question, because I signed up. I don't even know what it is. I just signed up because somebody in my Facebook stream
Right.
did it, so I went and downloaded it. But now that I know there's a waiting list, I'm like, I want it. I don't even know what it does. What's it going to do? It's going to fix my mailbox.
Well, they have some very, very cool features that allow you to organize your mail based on importance. They've got some really neat features, but what you've just discussed, I think, was the brilliance of their product. and guys, congratulations. Amazing job, because you got your launch absolutely perfect. It was so brilliant. Effectively, they have the scale, I believe, to allow any user to come on at any time.
But you still didn't tell me what
they're
they
creating
do.
scarcity.
They're going to rock my mailbox world.
Right. They're going to do something new and exciting with email.
We don't really know what that is yet. Because neither one of us are on the list yet.
Right, exactly. I just signed up this morning as well, and I'm looking forward to it. Basically, the features that they showed, they created a really cool video, a minimum viable product video.
I didn't even watch the video.
Oh, it's amazing. And so they allow you to archive email. They allow you to sort email via priority right within your inbox.
Okay.
It's some really cool features.
Right.
But
It's not just hype.
I'll tell you the reason why I'm excited about these guys is not necessarily their app. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But what they did in the marketing and the launch of their product is just fucking perfect.
Yeah, you should
it was so
definitely
perfect.
definitely go take a look if you haven't already at Mailbox app, because just the way it works as you're signing up and getting on the waiting list, and it's pretty cool.
Watching your number count down, it's very, very well done. Congratulations, guys.
I have another piece of news.
Talk to me.
This was in the New York Times. A study says that good news beats bad news on social networks, which I thought was interesting because I always love the line, if it bleeds, it leads. But apparently that's not true anymore.
Okay, tell me about
catchy,
that.
Right?
Yeah. There's, again, blood always is a good podcast topic. So.
But apparently that's no longer true. These were always the classic rules for newsprint and broadcasting: the wars, the earthquakes, the sick children, the murdered spouses. The more suffering and mayhem, the better the coverage, the better the ratings.
Okay.
But now they said that information is being spread and monitored in different ways.
Okay.
You know, people to people, social media, those ways. Researchers are discovering new rules, and they analyzed the most emailed lists of the New York Times for 6 months, and they found that articles and columns in the science section were the most likely to make this list because they inspired awe.
Cool. Okay.
That people want to share. They want to share
something that's really neat and it's amazing and awe-inspiring.
A positive emotion. Now, they also said that's good news. There's also bad. Here's the downside to all this good news. Is all this positivity doesn't actually make us feel any better. There was another study that showed that the longer people spend on Facebook reading about how fabulous all of their friends' lives are, the more they think that life is unfair and that they're less happy than their friends. So the German researchers that did that study, they describe this phenomenon, I love this, as the self-promotion envy spiral. I have experienced that in my life. You know what a quick fix is for the self-promotion envy spiral?
What's that?
Turn on the TV.
That's a very good point. So here's my question to you, and I've got a few comments about this, but my first question to you is I see that. We all see that on all the social networks about people talking about how fantastic and charmed their life is.
I'm on vacation. I'm having a cocktail.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that anybody is actually ever honest? And would anybody pay attention to you on social media if you were like, hey, actually just feeling kind of crappy today?
You don't have some friends that are Debbie Downers on Facebook?
No, but they do that for attention.
Yes.
I mean, they're the Debbie Downers that are like, things are just not going great for me. And they do it because they get 75 comments.
Exactly.
Like, oh, it's going to be okay.
It's one extreme or the other. I think maybe people fit in certain profiles. Like, I would never post that. I would never be the person that posts, like, I'm having the worst day ever. I might think it's something sarcastic or try to make it humorous, but that's a personality profile. I'm definitely guilty of taking pictures of my cocktails and declaring perfect moments on Facebook, and you never see my meltdowns on Facebook. But they happen.
So you're one of those. You're one of those people. You're one of those people that are propagating the myth of the Sandy Grayson lifestyle.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's why I took a 3-month social media sabbatical.
That's a pretty
good idea.
To try to
get over that.
The second thing I'll tell you is that this does not surprise me for one reason. Is had an incredible conversation with a guy that I call Yoda, Brad Feld. And this has been 6 or 8 months ago. But we talked about news, and he says, I don't listen to it. I don't watch it and stuff like that. And I said, I've really found myself that I don't want to watch news anymore. I watch the weather, but they always get it wrong in Denver anyway. So I've just kind of stopped because the news does talk about bad shit, and what they don't talk about is man comes home, loves his wife, tucks his children into bed.
Yep.
Might be boring, but that's happy stuff. It makes you realize that the world's a great and wonderful place. And so only seeing the negative stuff, I think can get fucking depressing at times. I used to be an NPR addict. I used to listen to NPR all the time. And I don't anymore simply because they only report the bad shit. Yeah. Social media is the outlet for people to report good news. And I think that what you're finding is people do like to share the good news more than they like to say, hey, there's bad shit happening all over the world.
Yeah,
famine, war.
I stopped watching news a long, long time ago. I don't even like it on in the house. When my in-laws come and stay with us, they keep, MSNBC. And my parents, too. My parents, they keep Fox on full blast all through the house, and you can feel it. It just feels yucky. So
Right.
if my husband wants to watch the news, I make him,
Do it in another
go in
room.
the other room, listen to it on his computer.
So basically, let's sum up this conversation by saying that we're advocating ignorance.
Not ignorance. I get my news from Jon Stewart,
Right.
right? Anything important, I find out, but in a humorous
Anything
way.
important I find out from Nathan. He
Yeah.
just tells me, Nathan, our wonderful single cameraman, audio guy
Director,
today, director.
producer, videographer.
So from now on, I
sound
hereby
tech.
anoint you as my personal news source, Nathan.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to learn a lot about gaming,
All right.
a lot about
So
video games. We have a really good show. That was a rough transition.
that was
sorry about that.
How do you like my transition?
So very good. We have a great show. We're going to talk about a few other things for you today. But before we do, want to give a big shout out to our friends Axles. You can find them at Axles, AKSELS.com or Cohats.com. They have a really, can I say fly? Is it fly gear? Is
I don't
it
know
dope?
if you can pull that,
I don't think I
that
can.
word
They
off.
have cool clothing. They specialize in some CDOT stuff, which is the Colorado gear. If you're from
It is
Colorado,
very cool.
you got to be sporting your Colorado gear.
If you're not from Colorado and you want to look like you are,
well, I mean,
Axles.
I'm going to go ahead and say it would probably raise your kind of panache in the startup world a few notches.
Totally.
If you just throw a Colorado shirt on,
totally.
because this is where it's happening.
What's the saying that they put on Axle? It's locally grown,
Locally grown, man. Right on.
which is kind of cute.
Right on. So check them out, and thank you, Axel, for being our sponsor, for a long-time sponsor. We're going to be transitioning sponsors on our next show, but we want to thank those guys. They've been
We love you,
amazing to
Axels.
us, and
You're awesome.
they've been awesome gear. If you want to see me flashing my Axel shirt, how do people get in touch with us, Andy? If they want to,
If you want to see Chris flashing his shirt, make sure you go to icosa.co. That's icosa.co/starto. And you can see Chris flash the world.
That's right. I'm just showing people my Colorado Pac-Man shirt, which is fucking awesome, if I do say so myself. So let's dive into our topic this week. And again, our topic is
Growing the sucker,
Growing the
from your
sucker.
playbook. Today we're talking about guerrilla marketing. Let's get loud.
getting really loud. So at this point in time, we've started our company, we've formed, we've come up with our product, we've done all of this sort of work, and we realize that we've got the right product mix. We know what we're going to do. We've got it figured out. We've got our special sauce figured out. And now it's simply time to get loud and obnoxious.
Let people know.
How do you do it? How do you do it in a real way? Well, in 2013, what that means is you have to be an active and vocal voice on social media. And I want to tell you, before we talk about how to do it, I want to tell you something about what not to do. So we all know that it pays to be real and authentic on social media, but what happens when you're not? Well, chances are you're going to get caught. And when you get caught, you're going to get slammed by the hundreds of snarky people lurking out there in the dark corners of the social media universe. But in some cases, you just snorted.
I did. I snorted.
That was pretty good.
That was funny. Snarky
But in
people.
some cases, it's simply the beginning of your problems. Snickers ran a campaign in London, or excuse me, in the UK, where they paid celebrities to tweet, post pictures on Facebook of them eating a Snickers bar. Well, they got caught because they were paying them to
Okay.
do so. So the first thing that happened, well, the snarky people on social media immediately called them out, said, you guys are cheesy, this is not authentic, it's not real. However, that was simply the start of their problems. Turns out in England, they have a law against such things. So I'm going to read from this article. You could find the article. It's on the Next Web.
Did they not know? Snickers didn't know about this law?
Well, I'm guessing Snickers is a U.S.-based company, so I'm guessing they don't know. It says, such an offense actually contravenes the UK's Office of Fair Trade guidance that celebrities must make it absolutely clear they're promoting or endorsing a product. It's deceptive advertising if they don't reveal they're being paid to promote it. So, the moral of the story is, don't be a douchebag, be real, be authentic, and if you do, pay somebody to tweet out your stuff. If it happens in England,
No.
they better...
That's true here, too.
Is it really?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a big deal not too long ago, maybe like a year or two ago, about bloggers. It's not just celebrities in the U.S. If you're a
Right.
blogger and you get paid or you get free stuff, and you blog about it, you have to put a disclaimer at the bottom of the blog that
That
merchandise was
says-
free or that you were paid or compensated in some way. It's illegal
Well,
to
so
not do so.
I think the lesson here, and we talk about this all the time, and I know that we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but we talk about being real and authentic on social media. And the moment that you're not a real person, and the moment that you cross that particular line of, hey, I'm moving from real and authentic, I like this product, into that paid world, there is a very large line that you cross, and if you're not honest about it, you're gonna get caught, and it will backfire on you. Agree, disagree?
Agree. Who do you think pays the worst price? Do you think it's the brand that paid the celebrity, or do you think it's the actual celebrity that took the money and...
I think it's the brand. I'll tell you just another one, because the article I found, the next web article that I found, and again, we'll post it on the blog post, was from a Mashable article about the worst social media fails of 2012. And this really doesn't have to do specifically with this concept, but McDonald's did a McD story hashtag that they paid for to promote. And instead of telling people these awesome stories that happened at McDonald's, people talked about their McDonald's horror stories.
Oh, no.
So they are effectively
It turned bad.
paying to promote these hashtags of
Their
their worst.
hashtag got hijacked.
Right. Right, which is completely funny. But I think the
is
brands
funny.
are the people that lose here. People laugh at Snickers because of this. Effectively, what they're saying is that Snickers cannot find people to endorse their product on their own, so they have to pay people. Meh.
Meh?
Meh.
Meh. All right. I have a story that I would like to share with you.
Talk to us.
You know, I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell. I think I just talked about the tipping point last week on
Right.
the show. So, loved Outliers. I love all his books. Well, apparently there's this new guru in town that everyone's calling the anti-Malcolm Gladwell.
The anti.
Anti-Malcolm Gladwell, which is probably just so he can sell more books.
Probably, yeah, because if you say anything about Malcolm Gladwell right now. it's-
Exactly. But Fast Company did a profile piece. His name is Jonah Berger. And he says 50% of the tipping point is wrong, and it's my job to show you which half.
It's funny that he doesn't just come out and say, here's the thing that are wrong.
Of course
It's like,
not.
hey,
No.
buy my book.
You got to buy the book.
Yeah.
Exactly. So his new book, I believe it comes out this month. It's called Contagious: Why Things Catch On.
Okay.
He teaches this class at Wharton, and Berger says marketers have been obsessed with the wrong part of this tipping point of the viral equation. He says by focusing so much on the messenger, we've neglected a much more obvious driver of sharing, which is the actual message. The tipping points notion, if you haven't read the book, I'm sure you've heard of this notion, that social epidemics are driven by the efforts of a handful of exceptional people.
You got to
like
tie
celebrities.
into these thought leaders.
Right.
And it's kind of the whole concept behind clout and others.
Exactly.
To
Mavens.
identify
Right.
these
Exactly.
thought leaders.
So Gladwell calls them mavens, connectors, salesmen. But this guy, Jonah Berger, says that's totally wrong. So of course, they went and asked Malcolm Gladwell, what do you think of this new kid on the block? And Gladwell has such a great quote. This is why I love Malcolm Gladwell. He
Right.
says, I was just a journalist describing stuff. These guys are actually doing the work. I'm far more interested in what he has to say about it than what I think about it.
He's a
Isn't that-
stud.
That's
I
a
love
stud.
Malcolm
That's a
Gladwell.
stud
Yeah.
response.
Right.
So anyway, here's just a couple things I picked up from the article. I definitely want to read this book,
The
Contagious.
book is not out yet. though,
I
right?
think it hits stores this month, so
Okay.
yeah, it may be out. I haven't downloaded it yet.
Okay.
But he says he has this acronym called STEPS, STEPPS, which are the 6 principles that can lead to contagious content.
Well, just by the way, when you start to acronym shit,
Is that douchey?
it starts to feel a little douchey. Just for the record,
Do you-
in my opinion, it means
Do you
nothing
remember what
else,
my acronym was
Yes,
for my
balls.
balls?
Right.
That's a good acronym. Come on.
but
Balls.
I'll accept your acronym, not steps. Sorry, I'm sure it's a great book. I'll read it, and I'll come back with it. But acronyms are douchey.
Let's say if you're going to have an acronym, it should be something
it
dirty.
should be funny. Yeah,
should be dirty.
It should have a double entendre.
Exactly. That's our
Okay,
rule.
so tell us what
anyway,
steps means.
the steps are social currency, triggers, emotion, public, practical value, stories. He says these are the ways that social transmission of products and ideas really work. What do you think of all that?
I'm really excited to read it, and I've given him in the book a hard time about acronyms, and that's fine. But it's funny because we've talked so much about kind of the false gurus and how they all have acronym stuff. But it seems exciting. It seems like a really interesting concept because there's going to be, at this point in time, the concept of something going viral is like 3 years old. And it's probably slightly older than that, but it's not very old. And so as a phenomenon, we're just now starting to look at that in a scientific way and say, how are these things happening? How are they shared? Malcolm Gladwell, I thought, was brilliant in his book, The Tipping Point.
One of the things I love that they say, that this guy, Jonah Berger, is that his name? Jonah? Yeah. That he said that I did like is all of his stuff that he teaches at Wharton is grounded in the science part of it. Like he's really fascinated with that. And Malcolm Gladwell even admitted as well that he's into the storytelling. So Malcolm Gladwell's books are always centered around these amazing stories that he weaves that teach us these lessons. But Jonah was really fascinated with the science of it.
The hardcore
and like, why is it? And so I'm really interested to find out, what's the meat of the book and how we can use it in our own businesses. So I'll report back.
Yeah, please do, and I'll look on it because, as we will report later, breaking news: I'm going on vacation next week.
Yeah.
This just into the newsroom. Chris is going to Florida with his family.
Wait, you're supposed to do tough love first.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, I was.
Do you have tough love?
I do have tough love. So this is my tough love. Yeah, my tough love.
You're not done yet.
Segment.
He's ready to go on vacation so bad. He's skipping over the tough love.
Right. My tough love segment for this week. So entrepreneurs around the world, friends, fellow startup people, lean in close, listen, push your earbuds a little tighter into your ears, and hear the tough love that I have to tell you. Again, I tell you this with love in my heart because everything I've learned in my life, I've learned because I fucked it up sometime before. So I'm telling you this because I've made these mistakes before. When it comes to getting loud, when it comes to promoting your product in the world of social media, when it comes to promoting your product face-to-face, when you're telling people about it, when you're sending emails, there is one rule of thumb that you must follow and cannot back away from for at least the first 6 months of your product's life, which is you, the entrepreneur, you, the founder, you, the founding team, have to be the voice on social media. You have to be the one that's writing the emails. You have to put yourself out there as the face, the name behind the product. I see so many people, and it happens a lot because people in my sort of startup world, which is the tech startup world, are oftentimes not super comfortable being out front and being kind of the extrovert and gregarious and saying, yes, here's my product. However, when you have a brand, particularly a young brand, and there's no personality to it, there's no human elements to that brand, it doesn't resonate as well as me standing up and going, hi, my name's Chris Franks. I'm the founder of insert company here.
It's resonate, not resignate. Just want to say that. You said resignate, which is when you leave.
When you resign.
You just want to leave. You want to leave.
I'm totally Freudian slip to get out the door. My other tough love is take a fucking vacation every once in a while. Or
resignate from your radio show.
Resignate from your radio show once in a while, or your wife will not talk to you, and your kids start to look at you funny.
You're on a roll, and I totally messed you up. I'm sorry.
So my advice to you, my tough love to you is you're going to be so fucking busy with every other thing you have to do as a founding team and as a CEO and whatever it is that you're doing within the company. Do not delegate your messaging to anyone else until the brand has been clearly established and is rolling downhill. The moment, and by the way, a lot of people would argue that you can never really give that up. You can never really delegate that to an intern or somebody you hire because you really need to be that brand. You need to be that brand voice early in the conversation. So people, it's hard. It sucks to give people your personal email address and say, email me anytime with feedback on the product. It sucks to give people your real phone number and say, call me anytime with feedback on the product, both of which, by the way, you can find on Mobilify. You can find that stuff. You can email me directly. You can call me directly. I've had phone calls from people that are not happy with the product, not happy with what I did. But It's real. It's authentic. I'm putting myself out there. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to agree with all of your tough love today. I don't
Yes!
think you can say. I don't think you can say this too loudly. You cannot outsource this stuff. It's not something you can pay an assistant to tweet for you. Or
Yeah, tell us the story. We were talking about this before we went on the air about an epic fail for somebody that kind of got this wrong.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention any names. I will give a little shout out to my friend Elizabeth PW on Twitter. You can find her on Twitter. She was the one that actually did this, which made me laugh so hard. There was an unnamed guru.
She was not the guru.
She was not the guru.
Right.
She was the one sitting in the audience. She is a guru of her own right. She's a fabulous attorney and very smart girl. But she was at a guru seminar, and she's one of those mavens on Twitter. She's, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers. And she noticed that while this person was on stage speaking, a tweet came out, like as if the person was tweeting and on stage at the same moment, and she called bullshit.
Which would
on
be
her
fucking
Twitter.
Awesome if you could like, do it behind your back as you're giving a
No,
speech.
she was talking. The person was talking on stage. And so Elizabeth called bullshit and started tweeting like, how is this happening? Like you can't, and she was very passionate about it. You cannot outsource tweets. I'm sorry. You cannot do that. You have to be there. You have to be answering your tweets. And I mean, that happens a lot in the industry I was in where the gurus, they want to take that next step so badly. And a lot of people preach to step off the cliff, to step into the next phase, and they get an assistant, and don't answer your own email, and all the things that you just said. They preach the opposite because it puts this velvet rope between you and your customer, and it makes you seem more special.
And also because they're douchebags.
But exactly. Yeah. But I don't believe that. I believe if you are truly special and gifted, you don't need that velvet rope. People want to be near you. They want to learn from you. They want to know the mojo that you have. They want some of it. So anyway, it was.
They want to feel your balls.
They want to feel your balls. They want your balls.
Wow, we have just gone from. We are now going to be X-rated on iTunes. Fantastic.
But just to wrap up the Sandy Makes It All Better piece, I'm going to go back to that quote from Jonah Berger, which was, if you focus too much on the messenger by just reaching the right people and having the right people in the room, you neglect the message. And if you're really, really clear about your message and you're really passionate about what you're doing, then you don't mind picking up the phone. You don't mind answering those emails, having those conversations on Twitter, because it's just an extension of who you are and what you're doing in the world.
Right. Very good point. That's a very good point. And when you're passionate about your product, when you're passionate about the problem you're trying to solve, you're okay fielding it.
Exactly.
If you don't feel that is representative of you and your personality, then you do probably want to hide. Mm-hmm. So I guess the real moral of the story is, when you start something, make sure it's something you really want to do. Make sure it's something that you're really passionate about and you're really ready to go out and tackle.
And if, like me, you find that you're working in a world that you don't really like, you can leave.
Right.
You can set your business on fire and walk away like I did.
Oh, not literally. You didn't literally set your business on fire. Let's go ahead.
Kinda. Debbie's here. Ask her. No.
Well... Yes, but it was not a physical fire. It was a metaphorical fire.
Yes, exactly. It was totally metaphorical. I didn't actually commit arson.
Have been talking about balls, and so I just thought we'd go ahead and clarify the fact that we can talk about balls but not being arsonists.
No, I was not an arsonist.
Well, I clearly need a vacation. Well, that is all the time we have for this week's show.
Let's just say you have a fabulous vacay.
Thank you.
And everyone here at Team Starto is going to be out of the office next week, but we will see you back here. Same bat time, same channel in 2 weeks. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Starto. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Starto TV and like us on Facebook, Starto TV. And to watch video of this episode and all of our episodes, just go to icosa.co/Starto.
Of JoJo the Circus Boy, a.k.a. me, being a spaz on camera. Trust me, when I say this, please go out and watch our episodes because you will laugh at how dorky I actually am.
I think it's just a matter of time before people are requesting tough love segments with you, though. I'm going to start selling that shit.
Maybe it's a sponsorship model.
That's $150 right there, easy.
Right on.
Tough love. Personal, private, one-on-one tough love from Chris.
Do you think, is it just the fact that I'm bald? Am I the Dr. Phil of the startup world?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
I just tell it how it is. Well, that is all the time we have. Join us again next week for another, join us again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
For another episode of Starto, the show for the worldwide entrepreneur.
Go do great things.